As Nazi Germany collapsed in the final days of the war, several German submarines simply vanished. No surrender, no wreckage, no final radio message. They slipped beneath the waves and disappeared completely, leaving behind decades of mystery, rumors of hidden gold, and questions that historians are still trying to answer today. This is the story of the last secret mission of the German U-boats. Before we continue, if you're enjoying these deep dives into World War II history, please follow our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It genuinely helps us keep bringing you these stories, and we'd love to have you as part of this journey. Now, let's step back into the spring of 1945, into the final desperate weeks of Nazi Germany. By April 1945, Germany's war effort was in complete collapse. Soviet forces were closing in on Berlin from the east, while American and British armies advanced steadily from the west. Hitler's once mighty military machine had been reduced to a fraction of its former strength, fighting desperately on multiple crumbling fronts. Germany's submarine fleet, once one of the most feared naval forces in the entire war, having sunk thousands of Allied ships throughout the Battle of the Atlantic, now found itself scattered, undersupplied, and facing an increasingly hopeless strategic situation as the war entered its final days. On April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler took his own life inside his Berlin bunker as Soviet forces fought in the streets above him. Just days later, on May 7th, Germany formally surrendered, officially ending the war in Europe after nearly 6 years of devastating conflict. Most German military units, exhausted and recognizing the war was truly over, surrendered peacefully to whichever Allied forces they encountered first. Most submarine commanders followed suit, surfacing their vessels and surrendering to Allied naval forces according to official instructions from what remained of German command. But not every submarine commander followed these orders. In the confusion and chaos surrounding Germany's collapse, several U-boats simply disappeared from all radio contact, vanishing beneath the ocean's surface without any confirmed surrender, without any final destination reported to Allied intelligence. 2 of these vanishing submarines, designated U-530 and U-977, would eventually become the center of one of the war's most enduring and fascinating mysteries. Submarines that seemingly disappeared for months before finally resurfacing thousands of miles away from where anyone expected. U-530, commanded by a young officer named Otto Wermuth, had been operating near the eastern coast of the United States when Germany's surrender was announced. Rather than surrendering immediately, Wermuth made a decision that would puzzle historians for decades afterward. Instead of surfacing and surrendering to nearby Allied forces as instructed, Wermuth ordered his crew to disable several onboard weapons systems, disposed of certain sensitive equipment overboard, and set an entirely new course, heading south, deep into the Atlantic Ocean. For over 2 months, U-530 remained completely submerged and undetected, traveling thousands of miles south along the coast of South America, evading Allied naval patrols that had already declared the war officially over throughout the region. Finally, on July 10, 1945, more than 2 months after Germany's official surrender, U-530 unexpectedly surfaced near the coast of Argentina, and its exhausted crew formally surrendered to bewildered Argentine naval authorities. Argentine officials, and soon Allied intelligence agencies, monitoring the situation, were immediately suspicious. Why had this submarine traveled so far from where the surrender was announced? What had happened during those 2 mysterious, unaccounted months at sea. Rumors began spreading almost immediately, suggesting that U-530 had secretly transported high-ranking Nazi officials, possibly even Adolf Hitler himself, to a secret hiding location in South America before finally surfacing and surrendering its now lightened crew. Investigators noted that the submarine's crew size seemed smaller than typical operational numbers, and that certain equipment had been deliberately removed or destroyed before surrender, fueling suspicions that something, or someone, significant had been dropped off somewhere along their extended journey. Just weeks after U-530's surprising surrender, a second German submarine, U-977, commanded by Heinz Schäffer, surfaced near Argentina under remarkably similar circumstances, having also traveled thousands of miles south rather than surrendering immediately in European waters. Schäffer later explained his decision through published memoirs, claiming he had genuinely wanted to avoid returning his crew to a devastated, occupied Germany, choosing instead to seek asylum somewhere they might rebuild their lives away from the war's immediate aftermath. Schäffer's submarine had also taken an unusually long and circuitous route, traveling around the southern tip of Africa before crossing the Atlantic toward South America, a journey that took considerably longer than any direct route would have required. Both submarine commanders faced intense interrogation from Allied intelligence officers, specifically searching for any evidence connecting their voyages to escaped Nazi officials, particularly given persistent rumors that Hitler himself might have somehow survived and fled to South America. Despite extensive investigation, no concrete evidence ever emerged proving that either submarine had transported Hitler, other high-ranking Nazi officials, or hidden treasure to South America. Both commanders consistently denied any such involvement throughout their interrogations and later published accounts. Historians studying these events today generally believe the most likely explanation involves simple survival instinct rather than any grand conspiracy. Crews genuinely uncertain about their fate under occupation, choosing instead to seek refuge in Argentina, a country with a significant German immigrant population and sympathetic government. Argentina's government under President Juan Perón was known to hold complicated, occasionally sympathetic views toward former Nazi officials, and indeed, numerous high-ranking Nazi war criminals genuinely did flee to South America in the years following the war's conclusion. This documented pattern of actual Nazi escapes to South America, though occurring through conventional civilian travel routes rather than secret submarine voyages, likely contributed significantly to the persistent rumors and speculation surrounding these two particular submarines' unusual journeys. Beyond U-530 and U-977, several other German submarines also went unaccounted for during this chaotic period at the war's end, their ultimate fates never fully confirmed, adding additional layers to the broader mystery surrounding Germany's final submarine operations. Some historians believe certain submarines may have simply been lost at sea through mechanical failure or navigational error during this confusing period, their crews perishing quietly without ever reaching any final destination, their fate remaining permanently unknown. Others speculate that additional submarines may have successfully reached South America or other remote locations entirely undetected, their crews quietly integrating into local communities without ever coming to the attention of Allied investigators or historical record. This genuine uncertainty created fertile ground for decades of conspiracy theories and popular speculation, ranging from claims of secret Nazi bases in Antarctica to elaborate stories about hidden treasure transported by these mysterious vanishing submarines. The Antarctic base theory in particular gained surprising popularity, suggesting that Germany had secretly established a hidden facility during earlier wartime expeditions to the region, later used as a refuge for escaping submarines and officials in the war's final days. No credible historical or physical evidence has ever actually supported this particular theory, and most serious historians consider it firmly within the realm of popular myth and speculative fiction, rather than genuine historical fact worth serious investigation. What remains genuinely fascinating, however, is the confirmed fact that these submarines truly did disappear from contact for extended, unexplained periods, traveling thousands of miles beyond any logical necessity, based purely on decisions made independently by their individual commanders. This willingness to defy standard surrender protocols, choosing instead extended, secretive voyages toward uncertain destinations, reveals something genuinely important about the psychological state of German military personnel during those final chaotic weeks of collapse. Many soldiers and sailors genuinely feared what awaited them under occupation, uncertain whether they would face fair treatment, imprisonment, or worse, motivations that likely explain these unusual voyages far more convincingly than elaborate conspiracy theories involving hidden Nazi treasure or fugitive leaders. Both Wermuth and Schäffer, along with their crews, were eventually processed as prisoners of war following their surrenders, and both commanders later returned to civilian life in Germany, living relatively ordinary lives despite the extraordinary mystery surrounding their final wartime voyages. Schäffer's own published memoir, describing his submarine's journey and surrender, remains one of the primary historical sources historians use today when studying these final, mysterious German U-boat voyages, though many questions about the full details still remain genuinely unanswered. Today, the story of these vanishing submarines continues, fascinating historians, documentary filmmakers, and curious audiences around the world, a genuine historical mystery from the war's final chaotic days that, even decades later, has never been completely and definitively resolved. Thanks so much for watching. If this mysterious untold story surprised you, please leave a comment below, follow our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more untold stories from World War II. Until next time, take care.